The new Indian government, we can say, now reflect the nationalism of the country. Moreover, inside the Indian parliament, there isn't a real opposition. Do you think all this can lead to an authoritarian turn?
Let me put it this way. I think after 1975, when the Congress Prime Minister imposed emergency on the country, internal emergency, and she was voted out in 1977, governments would hesitate in imposing authoritarianism upon a very large, diverse country, which is a federal structure, where a lot of powers are wielded by state governments. What possibly is going to happen that the lack of an opposition and a fragmented opposition in parliament, and this is not the first time this has happened, it happened in 1984 itself, but for the first time we have a party in power which is backed by a very strong ideologically oriented group, organization called the RSS, which is ideologically inclined. Now, in the last time they were in power, the BJP was in power in 1998 to 2004, we found that the Prime Minister Vajpayee had detached himself from the compulsions of ideology to adopt a policy that would appeal across religions and across castes and across classes. And he did succeed in overcoming the obstacle posed by a very hardline nationalist agenda, which is virulently anti-minority and also virulently anti-Pakistan. Two things I suspect are going to happen. One is that Mr. Modi has reinvented himself after the 2002 communal riots in Gujarat as a man who actually focuses upon thinking out of the box solutions and for solving the problems of governance, whether it is water or power or 24 hours power, or whether it is creating jobs, whether it is cleaning up rivers, whether it is streamlining the bureaucracy. Now, the report from Gujarat is that he had very little patience with the intricacies of legislative debate. He was not known for attendance in parliament. He worked with a small group of ministers and a small group of bureaucrats to create the economic miracle that is Gujarat, which is not actually matched by human development, but certainly Gujarat is one of the better growing states in India. It hasn't managed to balance economic growth and human development the way other states' governments have, such as Tamil Nadu or Kerala. But Gujarat has done very well at a time when the rest of India was declining. After 2009, we saw economic decline in the country, and in Gujarat there was almost a 10% growth in the agricultural sector. I suspect what is going to happen, and that is a very preliminary reading because the government has hardly been in power for 15 days. What he has done is to streamline the bureaucracy, and he has ordered departmental heads to report to him or to his principal secretary. That would mean that the ministers who are in charge of various departments might well have to report to him. So the whole principle of parliamentary government, that the Prime Minister is one among equals, might see a subversion because you're going to have a Prime Minister that wields absolute power. You see, that is an intrinsic problem with leaders who become bigger than their parties, who are very charismatic, who can appeal to the country, create a national constituency, get national support, and generate enthusiasm. Now, Mrs. Gandhi did it, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, before 1984, when she was assassinated. This is the second leader who can do so. We saw under Mrs. Gandhi the Congress party deteriorating, and we might well see a decline of the party organization under Mr. Modi. So it may not be authoritarianism, but I think it's going to be government by executive fiat. As it is, within about a week of taking over power, he appointed his principal secretary, who was not qualified to get another job. That his previous position was such that the person holding the headship of the telecommunications organization was barred from taking up an employment after his retirement. But Mr. Modi picked on this bureaucrat who has a reputation for being impeccably, according to impeccable integrity, and changed the law through an ordinance. He didn't wait for Parliament to convene on the 3rd of June. And everybody said, why has he adopted an ordinance? Parliament was going to convene in 3 or 4 days, but that was his hurry. Then he met every departmental head. He's pruned ministries. He's put together a number of ministries, put them either under a Minister of State or a cabinet minister. But it's very clear that he is going to have the last word. He also has 2 very crucial portfolios in his own hands. One is a portfolio of personnel and the other is a portfolio of pensions. So he can, that power of controlling civil service and its service conditions are with the PM as such. The second point of Mr. Modi is his focus upon economics, and that's partly, I think, he has done 2 things. He has his agenda of good governance and actually maximum governance, minimum government. So he's wanting to prove it's a traditional neoliberal agenda. And emphasis on the market, emphasis on efficiency, transparency, and of course responsibility and accountability is of course a traditional World Bank agenda as we know it. It is an agenda that in itself has no implications for the minorities or for pluralism. It's an agenda focused specifically on economic growth, on recovery of the Indian economy, of creating of jobs and meeting the aspirations of 1 million young Indians who actually grew up after the economic reforms were instituted, were born after the economic reforms were instituted in 1991. The second thing that he has indicated, the second factor, which is very important, is that foreign policy is going to be driven by economic diplomacy. And he wants an economic advisor in every embassy. He has said that the Foreign Service should recruit specialists on regions and on trade. So you're going to have him focusing on countries that can provide investment to India and that can regenerate a very sluggish Indian economy. So I see his priorities, or rather commentators on the whole see his priority as the region, because he's very, very sure that foreign policy begins at the borders of the country. Holding out a hand of friendship to neighboring countries, which actually he targeted during his campaign, but he's made up for it by being extra courteous to them. Japan will be a priority. And this is all a legacy of his Gujarat days when he was the chief minister of that state. Japan, Singapore, Australia. These are his major sources of investment. And Singapore. And he's a great admirer of Mr. Abe, the Japanese Prime Minister. And like Mr. Abe, he focuses a great deal on very hyper-nationalism and on economic regeneration. And they have a mutual admiration society. So he's already indicated he wants a special strategic partnership with Japan. And now the United States has held out a hand of friendship because the US had denied him a visa after the 2002 communal riots in his state, which had left about 1,000 dead. So he'll be visiting Mr. Obama in a bilateral relationship. It's going to be a bilateral meeting, I think in September when you have the UN session. I think he needs the United States to contain China because China has territorial ambitions in the South China Sea and in the Indian Ocean. Though his model of economic, simple thing like cleaning up the riverfront or bringing some kind of order into life is really influenced very greatly by the Chinese model. He's going to be very friendly towards corporates. He's been known for his pro-corporate stance. And within a few days, we heard that one of the biggest companies in India, which is particularly close to Mr. Modi, Reliance, has bought up an entire television complex. So it's going to be TV18, which consists of 18 channels, are now in the hands of the Reliance. So it's going to be a bit like Italy, when Berlusconi controlled most of the media. That is going to happen. But then India has a very vibrant civil society, a very vigilant civil society. So we expect that all his actions are going to, as of now, he has done nothing wrong. Only been 2 weeks. He's been perfectly correct. He's been courteous. He has been magnanimous. He has been gracious to opposition leaders. And he has not engaged in headhunting. He has not said bureaucrat. He doesn't like, should be shunted out. In fact, he's given an extension to the cabinet secretary. So as of now, he is showing a very generous kind of a. We don't know what the plans of the organization of which he has been a member and which ideology he has been a part of, the RSS, how that is going to be implemented. I suspect right-wing fringe forces are going to ask for banning of books which offend them, ask for publishers to withdraw books, and ask for the revision of school curricula. That's going to happen. But whether he can step in. I mean, he already said something like, do not touch my feet. Indians are prone to touch seniors' feet. He already said, do not put my life into your history books. They wanted to incorporate his biography. So as of now, he has done everything right, but we're looking to him for three things. And I talk about the majority of Indian citizens who are committed to secularism. We're looking to him to hold out a hand of friendship to the Muslim community, which is very badly represented. Since 1952, the representation of the Muslim community in parliament is the lowest. And the BJP only put up 7 candidates, of which all lost. So there are very few Muslim faces in parliament, and you need to represent the diversity of a country. We look to him to send out a very firm signal to gender violence, which has erupted in very many parts of India, and to be very ruthless with state governments who are unable to control criminal elements that have so viciously attacked women. And we look to him to balance his pro-market policy with social policy, because India still has very large numbers of the poor. It's been calculated as almost between 350 to 400 million, below the poverty line. So these three balancing acts he's going to be judged upon. And if he can do it, well, kudos to him. He would have overcome his past and his ideology.